Live from sunny Hollywood, California. Yeah, right. Welcome back to the second annual, 75th annual Quality Assured Films End of Year Wrap Up. Now, please welcome to the stage, Jon and Mike.
Now, one that came out of nowhere for me was Nicolas Cage in Mandy.
Under the crimson, primordial sky, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
There's so many scenes of like colors just and trails and fading and like staying on somebody's reaction for like an extra 45 seconds when normal movies would just cut it after like 20. But you're in the middle of it and it's like a nightmare.
What a ringing endorsement.
I know.
It's like hypnotizing.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of like the first time I watched Blade Runner, or maybe not that influential, but the same state of mind that it puts you in, because the soundtrack was amazing by Johan Johansson.
Yes.
It was a synthy score, and it was just filled with atmosphere, and it kind of washes over you. The movie kind of washes over you in waves. The only other film I could compare it to is probably Enter the Void, which I always recommend. That also is extremely trippy. Yeah, and with a great soundtrack. And that is another movie where you feel like, I imagine this is what being high must feel like.
It is.
Get me that girl I saw. You know what to do.
Yo, I mean, Nicolas Cage, it's funny because he always gets the joke like, oh, it's a Nicolas Cage movie. Back in the day, it used to be like, oh, it's a Nicolas Cage movie. Now it's like, oh, it's a Nicolas. This one, like, motherfucker redeemed himself. Not that he had a lot of lines, though, but...
Yeah, he just gave everything he had. And I don't think anyone else could have pulled it off.
No.
I was excited by the kind of fantasy almost aspect of revenge.
There's a specific scene of him, just a shot of him in the bathroom.
In his undies.
In his tighty whities. Screaming.
Chugging
vodka.
Like choking himself to make sure it goes down. That was, at first, like, you're watching it and you're laughing a little bit. Like, is this for real? Like, this is a joke. This is one of those movies that are, like, really bad to a point where it's good. But then he owns that moment and it just keeps going and you're like, holy shit.
So what you gonna do with that thing?
I'm going hunting.
It's crazy evil.
It's kind of like a revenge film.
Yes,
Really.
it is.
It is.
It definitely is like that. It is that.
It's that.
Yeah.
It's just so insane, though, because, like, something as simple as just lovingly looking at each other across a fire that's like a campfire.
Oh, man.
Just turns into this, like, foreboding, like, feeling of just what's going to happen, like the music and just the close-ups and the fire lapping or whatever it is in her face.
If I had to sum it up in some other way, it would be like watching, if you've ever... I'm stepping on something down here. I don't know what it is. If I had to compare it to another movie, it would be that animated heavy metal movie from like the late 70s or early 80s. I think late 70s, which they famously parodied on South Park.
Were there even animated scenes in the movie?
In Mandy.
In Mandy.
That seemed inspired by that movie. Mandy, the character, loves reading 70s sci-fi novels because it takes place in the early 80s.
Yeah.
She's wearing Black Sabbath shirts, and there's a song at the beginning by King Crimson.
Oh.
And those were all like late 70s, early, like birth of death metal, birth of prog rock kind of bands.
Okay.
And so that seemed to be where they were drawing all that inspiration from. It was kind of like the Bad Trip version of Gentleman Broncos.
Oh, okay.
If you've ever seen that.
Cyclops there, Cyclops there, turrets. Oh my holy crap, surveillance does. I hate those.
I'm describing this movie in like 10 other movies, but I don't, without you seeing it, I'm trying to give people a point of reference if they would like it.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that this movie is giving off.
You think you're so in love? I'll show you love.
For my criticism of it is that it's extremely brutal to women. I think that was on purpose. I don't think that was unconscious, but it feels really bad.
Look at me! Tom, what do you see?
It has the very same formula of the revenge films where they make you hate the people that have done what they've done. Like, to a point where, you know, as they're going and getting their Judgment Day from Nicolas Cage, you're like, fuck yeah, like, that motherfucker, I remember what he did.
You were really rooting for him.
Yeah. You got the girl from Oblivion who was Tom Cruise's partner.
Yeah. She was, like, mesmerizing.
There were scenes where, like, she's walking out of the frame and she's like, her eyeballs in the upper left-hand corner like this.
Oh, yeah, they fuck with the shutter speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just, like, freezes, and then, like, you're staring at it so long that you're like, if you were on something, you'd be like, oh, what is happening?
It kind of felt like a super intense adult version of Stranger Things or something. It has that dark wave, like, synth. It's almost like you're sitting up late at night, like, I'm not supposed to be watching this.
Yes. Oh my god, that's a yeah.
It just felt like a mysterious world that Panos was going to develop.
Because of the state that they make you feel like you're in, it has a supernatural element to it, but there's enough in the movie to explain it away if you didn't want to look at it that way.
Right, that's true. We have to talk about that fucking chainsaw scene. without spoiling anything.
Light spoilers?
Light spoilers.
There's a goddamn chainsaw fight.
Oh my god. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like The Evil Dead. Because as the movie progresses, Nicolas Cage is just covered in more and more gore, and he looks like him a lot. And next thing you know, he's wielding a chainsaw. Not as an arm, but still.
Good point.
You want me to do that again? Not as an arm.
Nick Cage is your guy. You know what kind of... You're in a revenge movie. You know he's gonna come out on top. But you don't know in what shape he's gonna end up in.
Right.
Because of how much crazy shit happens. You're like, there's a very real possibility that he gets, like, fucked up by a chainsaw. The thing I appreciated about it so much, I think, as a film, was that it hits almost every aspect of filmmaking that's impressive. The color grading, it seemed like it was shot on film.
Yes, I liked that a lot. It was very gritty. Like, it really added to, like, you know, the brutality of those scenes. Like, it was shot in the 80s.
I mean, I know this is like stupid basic film 101 kind of shit, where it's like the mood of the colors and the blocking and the framing tell you the story of how the characters are feeling. Mm-hmm. But this is an extreme of that.
Yeah.
But it was done so well that it's like this, it's so unique, you know? This movie had like animatronics, animation, title cards, but they pulled it all off, I think. Where at some movies you could be like, well, they just threw everything at the wall.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
I like a movie that I can't crack on the first viewing. You know, I kind of want it to sit with me, and I'll definitely watch it again. So,
yes,
Mandy, quality approved.
Oh yeah.
I just assumed you were approving it.
You know me. You know me.
I don't know though, because of the way you reacted. I thought you were gonna be like,
No, there were times where I was, like I said, I was just like, whoa, but at the end of it, I walked away and I was like, what? Wow. And then a couple days go by and I was like, wow, like I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was really, it's one of those ones that stay with you. And again, it's not going to be for everybody. So I don't want to hear any complaints.
Yeah, like someone asked me, how was it? And I was like, it was awesome. And they were like, would I like it? And I was like, nope.
There you go. So Mandy, you are, as he said, quality approved.
Quality approved.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. Sleep all night and work all day.